My dear brothers and sisters in the risen Lord, ordinary season, week 31, day Monday. He travels safe and not unpleasantly, who is guarded by poverty and guided by love, said by Philip Sidney. St. Lawrence is one of the most extraordinary saints in the history of the Church. He was one of the 7 deacons of the Roman Church. This was a post of great trust as it involved caring for the Church's good and giving alms to the poor. In 257 AD, the Roman Emperor Valerian published edicts against the Christians, and Pope Sixtus was arrested the next year and executed. Before his death, the Pope predicted that Lawrence would follow him in death in 3 days. Lawrence quickly sold the sacred vessels to increase the money he had in his keeping and gave it to the poor, the widows, and the orphans. The prefect of Rome heard of this, sent for Lawrence, and told him that the emperor needed gold and silver to maintain his forces. Lawrence asked for time to make an inventory of the church's valuables. He was given 3 days. Lawrence called all the poor supported by the church. On the 3rd day, he assembled the decrepit, the blind, the lame, the cripples, the lepers, the orphans, the widows, and the maidens, and invited the prefect to inspect the church's real wealth. The prefect said that this insult showed that Lawrence wanted to die, but that he would perish not immediately, but by inches. He was stripped and put on greedy wren with glowing coals below. He was slowly roasted. Later on, he was beheaded. In today's gospel, Jesus taught the ruler of the Pharisee who invited him for a meal to his house about charity and almsgiving. The things we use and the money we spend are better used and spent when we use them for the poor people than when they are spent in lavish dinners for the rich. Those that are spent for the poor would stand in good stead on the day of judgment. Let's note, Jesus warned us against coveting the rich. When we have a dinner, Jesus said, we are not to call our friends, relatives, and neighbors who are rich. This does not mean that we should not entertain our friends, our relatives, or neighbors. It means that we should not make it a custom wherein we invite to only our rich friends, our relatives, or neighbors, and forget the poor. We must spend as little as possible on such dinners and use as much money as possible on charity and almsgiving. In the parable of the rich man and Lazarus, the rich man was condemned because he dressed up in purple and fine linen and feasted sumptuously every day and had no regard for the beggar Lazarus. Luke chapter 16 verse 90. Secondly, we must not take pride in having such expensive and sumptuous dinners. It is a vain and wicked pride. Thirdly, Those who lay out such a lavish dinners often expect to be paid back in the same way. Therefore, what benefit is it for them? They spend that they might be repaid with the same measure. 2. Jesus urges us to cover the poor. Instead of having sumptuous dinners for the rich with air and varied dishes, we must furnish our table with simple food and feed the poor. The rich have enough food at their house to feed on, and they can go without our dinners, but the poor lack even the necessities, and it is they who need to be fed. Our money and wealth cannot be better spent than in feeding the poor. The poor will not be able to pay us back with the same kind, but they will doubly recompense us by their price. The charity done to the poor will come as a recompense on the day of resurrection of the just. The reward of almsgiving will be paid not in this world but in the world to come. The poor are the best and the safest person to invest our wealth with. We pay them in perishable currency and take back with a hundredfold in imperishable rewards on the judgment day. May God bless you all. Amen.